In the last two classes, we looked at Euler equations and we derived Bernoulli's equation from that, and we saw a few examples of Bernoulli's equation, how it is applied in flows of practical importance. Now that Euler equations came from Navier-Stokes equations using an assumption of inviscid fluid or inviscid flow. So this was the limit where viscosity is 0 or the shear stresses arising, all of them, normal and shear, arising from viscous forces, they are 0. So this is one of the limits where viscosity goes to 0. Today we'll see another limit which is known as creeping flow, which actually means that Reynolds number goes to 0, and inviscid flow similarly means that Reynolds number goes to infinity. All right. So because viscosity is 0, therefore Reynolds number goes to infinity. And in creeping flow, Reynolds number goes to 0. By the way, if you remember the definition of Reynolds number, this is rho VL by mu, or in other words, inertial forces to viscous forces. This is the ratio of inertial forces to viscous forces. Okay. So in inviscid flows, from where Euler equations and Bernoulli's equation come, viscous forces are not present. Therefore, we are saying that Reynolds number tends to infinity there. And the limit that we are going to see today, that is creeping flow limit, here viscous forces are very important, inertial forces are negligible, or exactly in the limit where Reynolds number is equal to 0, we will say that there is no inertial force basically, and viscous forces are present, or viscous forces tend to be infinite. Okay. But this is a kind of, if you look at it, if there are no inertial forces, that is velocities are 0, exactly 0, then there is no flow. Then we are talking about a no flow situation, a static fluid. But at the same time we are talking about a flow here. So this is a mathematical description. This is not practical to have a flow with 0 velocity, with 0 inertial forces. Okay. And viscous forces cannot be infinite in reality. At the same time, if you see inviscid flow, here you may imagine some fluid which has 0 viscosity, probably, but actually there are no fluids which have 0 viscosity. Okay, so both of these situations, they are extremes. There is no such thing as a perfectly inviscid flow or a perfectly creeping flow. Okay, but we can approximate flows as inviscid or creeping flows. So these are two extremes in Reynolds numbers, if you see. Now, what do the equations look like for a creeping flow? Let us write down our equations again. We'll write them in the dimensional form for now, and then we'll go to dimensionless form and see how Reynolds number 0 gives you the equations for creeping flow. Okay, let us write down the equations in their dimensional form. Rho dv by dt okay. Now uh, if the inertial forces are zero, that means the velocity terms, if you see, if they go to zero and viscosity is very high, then what do you get from here? Let us write that. Okay. So the left hand side goes to zero, but if we expand this, you will see that this is rho dou v by dou t plus v dot del v. So this second term is a non-linear term. It contains velocity times the gradient of velocity. Okay. So this term is much smaller than the first term, a change in velocity. Although the first term also is very small, but in comparison to the first term, the second term is much smaller. And if we talk about inertial forces, the scale for inertial forces is rho v square. Therefore, if we are talking about inertial forces and we are neglecting them, then we should neglect the rho v square terms. So wherever we see a multiplication of a velocity with a velocity term which is similar to this term, we can neglect the second term in this case, and we can keep the first term for now. Okay, although that can also be neglected in a creeping flow. All right, minus del p plus mu del square v plus rho g, and we want to keep the viscous term here. Viscosity is very high, viscous forces are large, viscous stresses are large, so this term remains. Okay, so we can write rho dou v by dou t equal to minus grad p plus mu del square v, and gravitational forces can also be there. Okay, so this equation can represent a creeping flow situation. Although in most of the cases, if you have a creeping flow and velocity is negligible, then changes in velocity with time are also negligible, so you can neglect even this term. So you can write mu del square v plus rho g equal to grad. All right, so this is the equation for creeping flows. To give you an example of some creeping flows, for example, flows in very narrow capillaries inside our body or anywhere else in microchannels, they can be considered as creeping flows. They are very slow flows where viscosity is very important, viscous forces are important. Flow of glaciers, flow of molten lava which is flowing on a mountain, let's say on some plain after a volcanic eruption, or flow of Earth's mantle, the molten mantle inside the Earth. The viscosity of the mantle may be estimated to be 10 raised to the power 20, of the order of that. So there we see that viscous forces are very dominant as compared to other forces, as compared to mainly inertial forces. Therefore, these flows may be considered as creeping flows. All right. Now let us non-dimensionalize the Navier-Stokes equations and see how we can uh, take this limit of Reynolds number as 0 and derive the dimensionless equation, the dimensionless momentum equation for creeping flows. Okay. So we already have this equation, equation 1, which is the dimensional momentum equation. Now we have to select scales, the characteristic scales for non-dimensionalizing this equation. Let us choose a few scales here. For velocity, let us take some u as the characteristic scale. Then for pressure, let's do it at the end. For x and y, okay, let me write this for individual components of velocity. So u and v, which are dimensional, can be written as capital U, and u star v star, which are dimensionless velocities. Similarly, x, y, let us do it for 2 dimensions for now, which can be generalized to 3 dimension as well. X and y can be written as some L, which is the length scale, times x star and y star both. So this bracket just means that I am multiplying L with x star, which is equal to x, and Ly star is equal to y. Similarly, time, if you have time in the equations, that can be written as L by U T star. Now we have pressure. Now if you remember, while non-dimensionalizing Navier-Stokes equations in the earlier classes, we used the scale rho u square for pressure. So we wrote P equal to rho u square P star. Now this is a valid scale if velocities are if the inertial term is dominant. But here in creeping flow situation, we know that rho u square is very small as compared to other terms. So if we write like this, if we write rho u square, it means that the scale that we are choosing is very small. So P star has to be very large. If the pressure is of the order 1 and rho u square is of the order epsilon, then P star has to be of the order 1 by epsilon. Epsilon is a very small number here, and we are saying that rho u square is very small because inertial terms are negligible, inertial forces are negligible in this case. Therefore, to avoid this very large P star values, what we'll do is we'll choose a scale for pressure which gives us P star of the similar order as P, okay, to avoid very high or low values of P star. So as discussed in that class where we discussed non-dimensionalization, we said that there is one more pressure scale that we can have, and as some of you suggested, that pressure scale was mu v by L or mu u by L in this case. u is our velocity scale. So we can write this because this is a scale for pressure which is derived using viscous forces. Okay, and we know that viscous forces are dominant ones here. Okay, so we can write pressure as mu u by L P star. Now let us use these scales to derive a non-dimensional equation, non-dimensional momentum equation. Right now we are writing the full equations. We have not taken any assumption here. We have just chosen a different pressure scale because we know what is going to happen. Why we are non-dimensionalizing this? We are using it for a creeping flow case where viscous forces are important. Okay, let us write the left hand side. Let us take one of the two components, x component of the equation. Here we have rho dou u by dou t, and you can take u out from the dou u by dou t, and from the denominator you get L by u, which becomes u by L because that is in the denominator, and you get the total derivative du by dt equal to minus grad p from the grad, because it is dou by dou x. Okay, yeah, you have dou p by dou x here because we have considered x momentum equation. So from the top, from the numerator, you get mu u by L common, and from the denominator by dou x you get L, so you get L square here, and you get dou p star by dou x star, and then mu del square v term. So you have mu dou 2u by dou x square, sorry, mu dou 2u by dou x square. So from u you get capital U, and dou x square you get L square, and here you have del square u. Similarly from rho g term you get, yeah, if there is gravity in the x direction then you get that term there, or if it is in the y direction you get it in the y equation. Let's assume that it is in the y direction. Now you can see that you have mu u by L square common on the right hand side. Let us take it to the left hand side and see what we get. So you get rho ul by mu on the left hand side, du by dt equal to minus dou p by dou x. Let us drop the stars from here. Let me write it here so that there is no confusion. Dropping star superscript, just so that it is easier to write, so that we don't have to write much, plus, okay, del square u. All right, so we know that rho ul by mu is Reynolds number. Okay, now we can put Reynolds number equal to 0 or going to 0, and we can see that what we get from here is del square u equal to dou p by dou x. This is in the dimensionless form. This is actually u star p star x star. This is dimensionless. Similarly, in the y equation you will have rho, so let me write it, rho u square by L dv star by dt star equal to minus mu u by L square dou p star by dou y star plus mu u by L square del square v star, and the gravitational term, let's say it is minus rho g because it is in negative y direction. Let's assume minus rho g. Okay, now when you divide by mu u by L square, you will get rho u L by mu dv star by dt star equal to minus dou p star by dou y star plus del square v star minus rho g L square by mu u. Okay, yes, so this is one more dimensionless number that you get here, and you have to see whether this number is important or not in your problem. So if the viscosity is very, very large, for example Earth's mantle, which is 10 to the power 20, then this term may be negligible for you. If the length scale and the density and the viscosity, all this ratio is negligible, you can neglect it if it is close to zero. If length is very, very small, for example in a capillary, in a capillary the diameter is very, very small, let's say of the order of a fraction of a millimeter or micrometers, then L square is much smaller than that, and then if you have viscosity which is very high, then also this term goes to zero. So this depends on whether the gravitational forces, what is the ratio of gravitational forces and the viscous forces. So it depends on that. Either it may be negligible or not in your case in the given problem. So here you still have Reynolds number times dv star by dt star equal to plus del square v star and this number actually you can split it into two dimensionless numbers which are very widely used. So let us do that. Rho So if you multiply by u in numerator and denominator, you get rho ul by mu, and the second term that is remaining is sorry for this, g is remaining, L is remaining, and you have u square. Okay, so this is the Reynolds number, and u square by gl is known as Froude number. Some people also write Froude number as u by root gl. So both definitions are used. We'll use the definition u square by gl. All right. So this term is basically minus Re by Fr. So if root number also goes to 0, then this term is not negligible, because it will be the limit 0 by 0, which is familiar. It is not negligible. If root number is greater than 0, some finite value close to 1, let's say, then this term is negligible again. So in the limit Reynolds tends to 0 and finite Fr which is not close to 0. So if we consider this limit, then we get a similar expression as we got for the x momentum equation, which is, if we neglect the stars, if we drop off all the stars from this equation, we get dv by dt equal to minus dou p by dou y plus del square v. So if we write the complete equation, we get the equation as, oh sorry, you don't have this, you don't have dv by dt here, that is gone because Reynolds number tends to 0. You get del square v equal to dou p by dou y. So finally in the dimensionless form you get, if I write the entire equation in the vector form, you get del p on the right hand side, on the left hand side you have del square v. So this is the dimensionless momentum equation for creeping flow. Okay, and there may be a few additions to this equation depending on, for example, if root number is negligible or not. Okay, and if you want to consider a change with time or not for the velocity, in some cases it may be required, and in other cases maybe you don't have you don't need that. In most cases we don't need change with time because that is also negligible. Okay, so this is the dimensionless equation for creeping flow. And also, because there are how many unknowns here, you have pressure and velocity. So total 4 unknowns, 3 components of velocity and 1 pressure in 3 dimensions, and you have 3 equations here, 3 momentum equations for each direction. So you need one more equation, that is the continuity equation, del dot v equal to 0. So this is much simpler equation than the Navier-Stokes equations for the creeping flow, for the creeping flows. Okay. So we'll discuss some examples in mechanical operations, which we'll be discussing after some time. We need this equation. This equation is widely used because analytically this is solvable. We don't always need a computer to solve this equation. But for a general problem where Reynolds number does not go close to 0, there we need the help of a computer. We need numerical methods to solve Navier-Stokes equations. But this is a much simpler equation which we can solve analytically for some problems. For example, many problems in 2 dimensions. One problem that we'll be discussing is flow past a sphere or a sphere falling in a fluid, and we'll be calculating the force on this sphere, which is known as the drag force, and we'll see that this drag force is equal to 6 pi mu r v, okay, where v is the velocity with which the sphere is falling, and this also tells you that the velocity becomes a constant. It becomes something known as terminal velocity. So we can calculate terminal velocities using this formula, but as you can see, this formula is valid only if it is a creeping flow past this sphere. That means Reynolds number is close to 0, or viscous forces dominate inertial ones. So this cannot be applied for a object which is falling in a very less viscous fluid and it is a big object, or the inertial forces are important if it is falling fast. For example, a ball that you release in the air that is falling very fast, so this formula cannot be applied there. This formula is valid for very tiny particles falling in air, for example aerosol particles, even liquid droplets which are very tiny. So we'll discuss we'll discuss a derivation for this formula and how to derive the velocity as well for this case. So okay, that's it for today. Thank you.